First of all, I want to thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and I also want to congratulate you because you are well on your way to getting your home sold quickly. What I'm going to show you today is that I have a system in place to get your home exposed to more potential buyers than any other realtor or real estate company out there. So let's just dive right in. And really, selling your home is as simple as 1, 2, 3. The first thing we'll talk about is price. What I want to sell your home for or what you want to sell your home for doesn't really matter. What matters is what's going on at the market right now. And when I come out and we sit down and talk, I will bring out comparative market analysis, and we can sit down and go over what we think would be a good price to get your home sold. Just know that I'm here to work with you on that. I want to make sure that you get top dollar for your home, and this presentation is going to show you how I'm going to do that. And so let's just move right on. The next thing I want to talk about is showing your home. And what I mean by that is that your home needs to be clean. I'm not saying you need to go out and do a complete remodel, but it's important that it's in clean condition so that when we do get somebody in to take a look at it, there's not a bunch of clutter laying around. And that goes for the outside as well. It's very important that the outside's in clean condition, because when people first pull up to your home, we want to make sure that they have a good first impression of your home. So both of those are important, but there's also another part of showing your home that I want to talk about that's just as crucial in getting your home sold. Just a few years ago, somebody would call up and we'd set an appointment, and they'd come down to my office and they'd sit down at the desk and we'd go over, and I'd say, well, here's the 5 to 7 homes I picked out for you guys that I think you would like to take a look at today. But with the internet today, people will call now and they'll tell me, hey, here's the homes we want to see today, and we'll just meet you at this first one. What time's good for you? One of the big ways they're picking out these homes when they look at them online is through the photos. This is why it's so important that we have professional photos taken. Now, I'm a real estate agent, and I could take pictures. I take them all the time, family, friends, and so forth. But when it comes to taking pictures to selling your home, I'm going to hire a professional company to come out and do that. And what you're looking at right here is one of the virtual tours that we've done. And you're welcome to, if you want to pause the video, you should be able to see the YouTube address on there. You're welcome to go look at it if you'd like, but I'm going to move on here. The reason I'm bringing this up is that the National Association of Realtors did a study of homes that had professional photographs done with 6 or more posted received 360 times more views than homes that had 5 or less unprofessional photos put up on the internet in their listings. The professional photographer I hire is going to come out and take about 100 to 150 pictures, and then I'm going to pick out the best 25, and I'm going to make up a really nice virtual tour. So when these buyers do go online and they look and they find your home, they're going to want to come out and see it. Now, the third thing I'm going to talk about is the marketing of your home. This is where I'm going to spend most of my time on this presentation, because we can have all the most beautiful pictures in the world. The bottom line is, if the home is not marketed properly, nobody's going to even know it's for sale. This pie chart was done by the National Association of Realtors, and it's a chart that they do every year. It's a profile of how home buyers are buying their homes. As you can see, the internet's actually passed up real estate agents by a little bit, which is actually big news. If you go back just a few years ago, the internet was only at about 19%. If you go back 6, 7 years ago, it was only about 5%. And real estate agents were running around 70 to 75%. So you can see how important it is that we have a very strong internet presence. In another study by the National Association of Realtors, which I'll just refer to as NAR from here on out, another study they did showed that 85% of the people are looking online at homes before they even contact a real estate agent. And even more proof of how important our online presence is, 37% of those people found their home online, their home that they actually ended up buying, they found online. This is why it's so important that today's agent gets himself trained in internet technology, which is why I'm always constantly upgrading myself and learning new things. I mean, I've got the ePro from NAR. I also got a internet marketing specialist designation from a private company, just so I can keep up on times with everything that's going on. These numbers speak for themselves, so I know it's up to me. It's my responsibility to my clients that I go ahead and stay on top of these things. What I learned from taking those two designations is that there's 5 different portals that I use to make sure we have the strongest internet presence out there. Here's the 5 portals I was just talking about. And the first one I'm going to talk about is brokerage websites. And what I mean by that is with the technology today, it gives us the opportunity to showcase your home on a variety of local real estate office websites. See, it doesn't really matter if you use a Keller Williams or a Prudential or Coldwell Banker or whatever, because we all share information through the MLS, the Multiple Listing Service. And MLS is just real estate jargon for Multiple Listing Service. But what that is that it's a huge database that every office in San Diego County shares with each other to invite all the agents in the area to come in and assist us in the selling of your home. This is huge because it increases our chances of another agent bringing in a buyer by 10 to 1,500 more. And it's also another reason for us to have the quality photos and virtual tour. The next thing, going back to our pie chart here, is national portals. Next thing I'm going to talk about what that is things like Realtor.com, Zillow, Trulia. And again, I'm going to make sure that your home's on all 3 with our nice photos and our virtual tour. Realtor.com used to be the dominant site, but now Zillow and Trulia get a whole bunch of hits, and you can see here that we're going to be, here's some examples of Realtor.com photos, and same with Zillow and Trulia. I have my own pages there, as you can see. And if you want to pause the video, you can see that I got a lot of hits on those Zillow and Trulia sites too. So people think that, Realtor.com is still it, but it's not. The other ones are just as close, and that's just things that I learned by keeping up on my training and staying up to date. And another thing that will happen by going into these, it'll also, Redfin's gotten really big. I guarantee they will pick it up right away. They'll pick your home up right away. You'll be able to see it on there in a few days. They get a lot of hits too, and it's just the training that I've had. I know exactly what to do to make sure that we're on all these big sites that people are looking at. Now going back to our pie chart, you can see the next thing up would be classified advertising. And classified advertising, the biggest one out there is Craigslist. And I know that there are scammers and things going on with Craigslist, but when it comes to real estate, it gets millions and millions of hits per day. How many exactly locally, it's hard to say because they don't do actual city breakdowns. But the actual sites itself get over 20 million. And I know if you've ever looked on Craigslist, it's amazing how many listings are on there. But I still feel it's important that we are on there. And that's why, again, I have a couple of accounts on there. I'll be putting your home on there every couple days. It's not just for low rent people. There's a lot of very tech savvy people that look on Craigslist. And that's why I make sure I have that covered. And I also hit up Oodle and iList and Kijiji and even Backpage. Not as often as I hit up Craigslist because I don't get as many hits. But again, it all just helps with search engine optimization also. Another thing that I've learned with Craigslist is that the most they get hit is 1 p.m. and 7 p.m. So that's why I make sure every 48 hours, because that's all Craigslist will let you do, is that your home's put back up there so it stays near the top. I mean, it's never going to be on the top. It will be, but briefly, because so many people use it. But there's a reason that so many agents use Craigslist, and that is because it works. I'm not saying that's where your buyer's going to come from, but the whole point is I'm going to make sure that everything's covered on the internet. Think back to that 85% of the people looking online and 37% finding their home online. They're using every portal they can think of, and so am I. So going back to our pie chart, search engines is next. And of course, Google's the biggest of them all. Everybody knows that. I mean, there's Yahoo and Bing, but Google's the biggest. And the good thing about our company is that our broker's so involved with keeping our website up. He pays a lot of money to have our website be on the first page. So your home is definitely going to be found in the first page of Google because STC Coast is always there. If not on my website, then, and I will be using all the things I showed you, everything I do drives it back to my website. But our company website has a huge internet presence. And going back to our pie chart, social media is the last thing. And it's funny because Facebook, and I'm sure you've heard of Facebook, is now, it's either one or two. Google and Facebook are always going back and forth with the most views. Facebook gets around 500 million. I use Facebook, I use Twitter, I use LinkedIn. I have accounts with all three just because social media is so important. Again, those are just things that I've learned from taking all these courses. It grows daily, so I think it's important that we have a big presence there, and that's why I have accounts with all three with quite a few followers on all three. And the other one, too, that I didn't mention is YouTube. Maybe you took the break and you went and looked at that virtual tour that I had up earlier. I put all my stuff on the YouTube account, and I try to drive traffic through that. I'll post in my blog also. So YouTube is another thing that's hit a ton. And again, that's just something else I've learned. So it's just another way for us to make sure that we're in the search engine optimization. And hopefully, you know, after seeing all this, you realize that there's absolutely no way that your home is not going to be found on the internet. Because of my experience and training, I'm going to make sure that we are completely covered, and hopefully I've showed you that. So going back to our pie chart by NAR, the next thing we're going to talk about is real estate agents. And real estate agents are still a very big part of getting a home sold. In fact, in another study by NAR, 35% of the homes sold were by real estate agents telling their client, hey, we should go and look at this home. So even though, like I said earlier, the number's down because of everybody looking online, they still use an agent even if they find something online, but then there are people that don't. That's 1 in 3 homes that are sold. So it's very important that we have real estate agents covered. And, of course, we will. So first thing we want to look at is this little chart here, and I've already talked about the MLS, so I'm not going to bore you with that again, so I already went into that in detail. But the next thing that we will make sure, I will make sure that I do, is I'm going to make up an electronic flyer. And what that means is I'm going to send an electronic flyer to every single agent in our county with your home and the details about it and a few pictures, not too many because I want them to actually go out and physically see the home. But this way it's going to go straight to their email inbox, and I guarantee you every agent looks at their email inbox daily on a consistent basis. And again, the virtual tour is going to be up, what I talked about earlier. We're going to have that on all these websites. And then there's another thing, realtor and office meetings. Like, for example, in our office, we have around 148 agents, I think, somewhere right in that. Might be a little higher now. But every month, beginning of the month, we get together and we have an office meeting, so I could pitch it there. And I will also pitch at our weekly office meeting, which is about 35 agents. So I'm going to put the word out there. And then another thing that goes on is that every Wednesday there is a local realtor meeting in Encinitas and one in Del Mar. And I'm going to go there and I'm going to pitch your home to those realtors too. Because realtors are just like every other business. You know, you've got the 80-20 factor. 80% of the homes sold are by 20% of the agents. So, and those 20% are out in the field working, and I'm going to make sure that I go one-on-one with them, go to the meetings so I can actually stand up and talk about your home and why they should come out and take a look at it and bring their clients to it. And I stay in constant communication with realtors always. Between the electronic flyers, I don't just send them out once. I send them once, and then 2 weeks later I'll send it again, just as a little bit of a reminder. So we're going to always be in front of them, and when they do get a phone call from a client, or they may have a client already that's looking for your type of home, they're going to know right away, hey, I want to go show them the home that I just heard talked about. And another thing about constant communication, so I'm going to be constantly communicating with you guys also. But I know that's one of the complaints I hear is that people feel like sometimes realtors just get their home listed and then they want to hold an open house or two and they pick up some buyers and they never hear from them again. And that's not the way I operate. I mean, we're a team. I'm going to be in constant communication with you about what's going on, where we're sitting, who I'm talking to, what I'm hearing. So you'll always know what's going on with your home. And if an agent does come in and show your home to someone, I will definitely immediately be getting in touch with them, see if they're going to write an offer. I know a lot of people do that through email. I prefer to actually call the agent and talk to him. And if he does tell me that they found another home that they decided to buy, I'm going to go out and look at that home and see, if we are missing something. But there could just be, it could be an extra bedroom. It could be just something like that. But I'm still going to go look at it just to make sure to see where we're at. And so we know what's going on. And one more thing about that, too, is agents will be showing your home. And one thing I don't want you to do ever is to talk to agents, because mainly what an agent will do, including myself, when I'm looking at a home, if a homeowner's there, I'll ask them little questions just to get ideas. Like they may just say, so why are you selling? Well, we're moving, we got a job relocation, whatever, downsizing, whatever. We've got another home. But what we don't want to do is I don't want you to tell them, yeah, we're moving and we got to be out of here in a month, because then he's going to be like, oh, great, they got to move. We can make a low ball offer. So if they do ask any questions, it's always the best thing to say is, you know what, Rob's taking care of that. You just need to call and talk to him about that. And that's just one less thing for you guys to worry about. So the next thing I want to talk about, and going back to the NAR pie chart, is signs and flyers. And signs and flyers make up about 15% of the sales today. And as far as flyers go, I have a little bit different point of view, but hopefully we can put a sign up in front of your house unless there's some kind of issue. And I know sometimes things come up, parents don't want to tell their kids, or the HOA says no, or there's just no place to put one. But the majority of the time we put up a sign, and I would like to do that. I'm also going to make you up your own private website so that when people come by, it'll have www.youraddress.com. And I put the virtual tour on that. And that's just another thing, especially today with cell phones. People are so tech savvy these days, and they have cell phones, and they can just go right into your website and look at the virtual tour and kind of get an idea. But as far as flyers go, I'm not a huge fan of flyers, putting them up outside on the post, just because all the flyer is going to do is it's going to have a few pictures and tell some stories and then the price. And, it doesn't say anything about your home. It definitely doesn't tell the character of your home. That's one thing I know I get into with my buyers. I always tell them you have to take the time to go out and look at a home. The internet's great, and you think this house is great, but the bottom line is the only way you can feel the soul and the character of a home is to go in and view it. And with the signs, are not seeing anything, and they might just look at the price and go, wow, that's way too high. Well, they haven't seen the inside. They haven't seen the character. They don't know why we're asking what we're asking. They don't understand comparable sales or anything else. So I would prefer to put the signs inside your home, and I have no problem with making up some nice signs. In fact, here's a couple of them you can see here. Absolutely no issue with making signs, but I'm sorry, I keep saying signs when I mean flyers. But let's keep the flyers inside your home. If you're not okay with that, if you think it's important we put them on the post, I could live with that. But I'm just telling you, my professional opinion is that we keep the flyers inside the home. When agents come in to show the home, they can hand their people a flyer. That's my strongest suggestion there. So the next thing on the pie chart is open houses. And as you can see, open houses makes up about 7% of the sales. And I get a lot of different views about open houses. I could hold one every weekend for you, or I could hold zero. It's totally up to you. I would say this. Let's go back to thinking about the fact that people are looking online all the time. So they know what they want. And, if the inventory's not there, the home they have found or they haven't been able to find isn't there. Well, we should at least do an open house the first weekend, either the first Saturday and Sunday or the first Saturday or Sunday. I would suggest we do them the first 2 weekends, even if it's only 1 day a weekend, because if these people do come in and they do not have an agent and I can pick up a buyer, I can save you guys a lot of money by doing that. So I would say for the first week or two, we should definitely do an open house. But again, we can talk about that when I come out. If you're dead set against it, we won't do it. Like I said, we're going to work together as a team. And if you're a big believer in me, you want them held every weekend, I'll be there every weekend. So it's another thing we'll talk about. But I would definitely suggest at least doing them the first week or two, just so those online people that have been looking, they can come right out and hopefully they'll make an offer right away. The next thing would be friends and family. Again, 3% of sales, but it's still very important. I'll give you a stack of my cards or flyers, whatever you want to hand out. But it's important that you give them out to all your friends and family. And, don't be afraid if you have kids in school to mention them that they can tell their friends, because I know they're not going to pass out cards and they're not going to go to school to sell a home. They're kids. I understand that. At the same time, if they mention it, believe it or not, the kids might have parents that are looking for a home and they're in your school district, they want to stay right there. It could actually work. It's worked in the past. So, it wouldn't hurt for them to mention it, but you definitely want to bring it up to coworkers because you just never know who's looking for a home. A lot of people don't even talk about it. And somebody may not even know, but they may be having a barbecue or something, and somebody would say, we just started looking for a house. So it's important that we let everybody know. It's just another angle to cover. And the next thing is newspaper advertising. Again, it's not big. It's only 3%, but our company still considers it very important. And that's why we run full-page ads in Sunday paper, the San Diego Union. We do some advertising in the North County Times, and we do advertising in the Coast News. So, again, even though it's only 3%, our bottom line is that we feel like we owe it to our home sellers that are hiring us to a job for them to make sure that we have every angle covered. There's a couple more things I want to talk about, but I do just want to say that if there's anything that another agent has mentioned to you that they would do, then please, let me know, because I'm always trying to learn. I think that I've showed you here that we're going to have every angle covered, but if I've missed something, I would be more than happy to hear about it, and I'd be more than happy to implement anything that makes sense, because the bottom line is we want to get your home sold. I have a couple photos here that I want to show you. It may seem a little goofy, but you don't know me, and I kind of want to explain to you a little bit about my personality. And this is one of my favorite movies all time. It's A Wonderful Life, and one of the greatest actors ever, Jimmy Stewart. And this is how I am in pre-sale mode when I'm talking to other agents, and I'm talking to other people, and trying to get us an offer in on your home and get it sold. So that's definitely how I see myself. But I also have another side to me, and that is another favorite movie of mine, which is Braveheart. Forget about Mel Gibson's craziness, who would ever know, but it's a great movie. And the bottom line with this picture, what I'm trying to say is that I'm going to fight. When that offer comes in, I'm going to fight hard to make sure that you get everything you want and you get top dollar for your home. And I do want to mention real quick the paperwork, like it says, let the fun begin. The paperwork today is astronomical, but that's just because NAR's had so many of these contracts written by lawyers, and it's strictly just to protect the buyer and the seller. And it's a good thing, really. But the nice thing is I have a thing called DocuSign. We can do a lot of things through that, which is all electronic signatures. That'll make things much, much easier on you. But, when you look at the paperwork, it looks pretty simple when it's blank, right? Because it's just a bunch of words. But at the same time, when we get in an offer, it can get very confusing. In fact, we can even get in 2 offers for the same amount of money, but because of what the buyer's needs are, they could end up netting you huge differences in amounts in your pocket. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take in every offer we get and I'm going to break it down. I'm going to break it down in real simple terms so that you could see exactly how much money you and your family are going to walk away with when we sell the home. And another thing I get asked a lot is, so Rob, when are we going to be able to move? And I could tell you this. If we price your home properly, the average days on market right now are between 30 to 45 days. And with lending the way it is, the escrows are going anywhere from 30 to 60 days. So you're roughly looking at probably anywhere from 100 to 120 days before the moving truck backs up and you can start packing up all your furniture and the kids and the dogs and everything and moving on with your new life. So in closing, I'm going to wrap this up now, but there's just a couple of more things I want to cover real quick. And first of all, I want you to know that I'll never let commission come in between us doing business together, working together. That's something we could talk about when I come out, and I'm happy to discuss that with you. And the other thing is, on page 2 of the listing agreement, I mean, I grew up on a farm, I'm a former Marine, and on page 2 of the listing agreement, I write right in there that if any time while I'm working for you, if you're not happy with my service, you can just fire me. I don't care if we agree to a 6-month listing. If there's something I'm doing and you're not happy, I have no problem with letting you out of the contract. And you have my word on that because, nobody's ever exercised that before. But, I believe that we have one life here and we're here to help each other. And if for anything I'm doing, if I ever do anything that you're not comfortable with, I'll let you out. I want you guys to know that I'm going to work hard for you. It's like I said, we're going to be a team. We all have one goal in mind. But for some reason, if that ever comes up, I have absolutely no problem, and I put it right in writing. Like I said, nobody's ever exercised that. In fact, if you'd like, you could I can give you some numbers of my former clients that have no problem with you talking with, and I'm sure they could even tell you about the pictures and my personality. But anyway, that's important to me, so I just want you to know that up front. You being happy with my service is my number one goal. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch my presentation here. Hopefully it shed some light on some things and told you a little bit about me, and look forward to us sitting down and talking. I'd love to go to work for you, and I know how busy everybody is, so thanks for watching the presentation, and hopefully the popcorn tasted good. Have a good night.